Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, I'll be given 1 minute to allow you guys to come in before we start the business of the day. It is noon. Those on break, those working at home remotely, and those in the office, how has your day been? Hope everything is moving on smoothly. Today is indeed a good day. Why? Because this is the first time I will be moderating an event for this speaker. So just sit tight and flow according to the tune of what we have for you guys now. Like I said, I'll be giving just 1 minute to allow you guys come in. I think I'll just take it off from here, even as people keeps joining us. Good afternoon once again and welcome. For those of you guys that are joining us for the first time, my name is Gabo Esahaya, and I'm a training coordinator with the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple Small Business Development Center helps small business start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to no-cost webinars. We are part of the nationally accredited network of the Small Business Development Center, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. You are here this afternoon for a webinar on getting ready to enter the world of social media. A copy of the PowerPoint and a link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Being a webinar, all the attendees have been muted. However, we always encourage you guys to drop your questions on the Q&A or the chat box. Without further ado, please allow me to welcome our wonderful speaker, even as she takes over the floor for the presentation. Ms. Elaina, you're welcome.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. As Barbara said, this is getting ready to enter into the world of social media. So this slide just goes over kind of the mission of Temple Small Business Development Center. Again, he kind of went over all of that, so I won't be redundant and go over it again. As he said, you also have a copy of the presentation, so you can also read through it. Let me introduce myself. This is a little bit of my background. I'm a consultant at Temple Small Business Development Center. At the moment, I am largely working with clients who are in our PADTEP program, which I will also talk about a little bit later in the presentation, and with clients who are looking for assistance related to digital marketing. So I'm going to be presenting today and going through the different slides, while my colleague Cassie will actually be answering questions and monitoring the chat. And then at the end, we will both do Q&A, and I'm actually going to let Cassie introduce herself briefly as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cassie. You might have seen me in a couple other webinars. So I also work with Elaina in the PADTEP program, which we'll talk about, and some of the things that you can get from that program, like some of the audits, like the social media audit, which we will talk about later. Primarily work in digital marketing, helping anywhere in digital marketing, social media, search engine optimization, and anything marketing related. And I will be monitoring the chat, so please feel free to put questions there, and we'll make sure to stop and have time for that throughout. But yeah, enjoy today.
Thanks, Cassie. So here's a brief agenda of the presentation. So we'll start with the intro to social media and its benefits. We'll then move to the overview of social media platforms, transition to how to use it for business, social media FAQs, discuss next steps, and then tackle the Q&A. So as stated, first we're going to start and talk about the introduction to social media and its benefits. So what is social media? Social media is computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through the building of virtual networks and communities. So by design, social media is internet-based, and it gives users a quick electronic communication of content. Content can include personal information, documents, videos, and photos. So the users engage with social media via computer, tablet, smartphone, via web-based software or a web application, often utilizing it for messaging. So understanding social media. It originated as a way to interact with friends and family, but it was later adopted by businesses that wanted to take advantage of the popular new communication method to reach out to customers. So the power of social media is the ability to connect and to share information with anyone around the world, or with many people simultaneously. So globally, there are more than 3 billion social media users. Social media is an ever-changing and ever-evolving web-based platform. So according to the Pew Research Center, social media users tend to be younger. Nearly 90% of people between the ages of 18 and 29 use at least one form of social media. Further, these users tend to be better educated and relatively wealthy, or earning over $75,000 per year. So there are multiple benefits to social media, with a few listed here. So these continue to increase as social media becomes more enmeshed in society. One benefit is brand awareness. Billions of people across the world use social media every single day, and it makes sense to put your business where the customers are. So for example, roughly 60% of Instagram users have said that they find new products using that platform. Another is brand personality. So it's becoming more important it's becoming more important than ever for businesses to have a distinct voice and to engage with customers on a human level. So social media provides an easy avenue to do this, and it allows you to develop an identity and a voice to showcase your brand values and to engage with followers. Next is thought leadership. Social media provides an opportunity for businesses to both learn from and stand out from their competitors, establishing themselves as industry leaders through engaging and relevant content. So you can do this by sharing creative content on Instagram, writing a thoughtful blog post on LinkedIn, or showing a fresh perspective in tweets. Another benefit is increased website traffic. So if your followers like your social media content, they become interested in you and your business, and are then more likely to venture to your website to learn more about your business, which then means higher website traffic and potentially more sales. Another is reputation management. So reputation is everything, especially for your small business, and social media gives you the perfect opportunity to communicate with customers and to solve issues quickly. So you can actually even create special hashtags that your followers can use if they have a question or a complaint to ensure that it's seen by the right people. You can also use social media to highlight positive reviews or comments. Next is analytics and insights. Most social media platforms have their own analytics tools, which allow you to monitor things like your follower count, engagement rates, and click-through rates. These numbers can then help you figure out what kinds of content your followers respond to best, and you can tweak your marketing strategy accordingly. Another is for competitor analysis. So social media isn't just good for engaging with your customers. You can also use it to stay on top of what your competitors are doing. So following your competitors and taking note of what seems to work well for them and what doesn't can also benefit you and your business and your strategy. So you want to work those insights into your social media marketing strategy. And then finally, we have targeted advertisements. So it's easy to create ads on social platforms, and the benefit is that you can target them to specifically suit your audience. So research has shown that users respond better when ads are tailored to them, and this often then increases engagement. So a key takeaway is that there are many benefits to using social media, especially for business, and including access to analytics, a boost in website traffic, and the chance to develop a brand personality. So now we're going to move on to the overview of social media platforms. So we're going to start with Facebook. Facebook is a highly popular social media network with a varied audience, over 2.7 billion active monthly users. As such, every business should have a Facebook page. So when used correctly, a Facebook page can be invaluable to a small business. You can use Facebook to share everything from photos to important company updates. And with a business account, you have access to powerful advertising tools and, again, in-depth analytics, as mentioned a little bit earlier, just in the previous slide on the benefits of utilizing it, of social media. So business pages also have a lot of customization options. So you can use Facebook to highlight information such as your contact information, the hours of operation, and the products and services that you offer. So for those who do use Facebook, 74% visit the site at least once a day. In terms of daily usage, this number is higher than Instagram and Snapchat's daily users, as you can see in this graph, which we will be utilizing as I go through the various ones as well. So again, after more than 15 years of operation, Facebook is still one of the most used social media platforms in the US. Facebook ranks second in platform usage after YouTube. According to Pew Research, 69% of US adults are on Facebook. Except for those ages 65 and older, the majority of Americans in different age groups do still use Facebook. However, it is important to note that usage among teenagers has dropped in favor of platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat. So the network also leans more towards women, with 75% of women and 63% of men using this platform. On this slide, you can also see the breakdown of demographics by age. I won't be reading all of them out loud, but again, since you'll have a copy of this, you can always go back to these various slides and see what the numbers are. But again, Facebook's user base and reach is global, so it makes it very easy for many brands, even those with an international social presence, to find their target audience on this network. So at 269 million users, India has the largest user base of any country. And after that is 183 million users in the US and 123 million users in Indonesia. And again, this slide also shows the US regional breakdown, Facebook the education demographics, and Facebook income demographics. Next, we'll move on and talk about Instagram. So Instagram is also incredibly popular. It has around 1 billion active users. So from Instagram Live to Instagram Stories, there's no shortage of tools businesses can use to promote their services and products on the site. Instagram is a visual platform based on photo and video posts, so it's best for businesses that have strong visual content to share. More artistic niches tend to excel on Instagram, and it may not be the best fit for your business, depending on your industry. Regardless, the person running your account, must have a good eye for detail and at least basic photography skills, so you can ensure the photos and videos posted to your account are high quality. And again, same graphic, but now we'll focus on Instagram. And so while Instagram continues to rise in popularity, its daily login is still second to Facebook. 63% of Instagram users log in at least daily, while 74% of Facebook users log in at least daily. So these two patterns have actually remained relatively unchanged since 2018. So according to Statista, 35% of US teens rate Instagram as their favorite social network, second again only to Snapchat. And in terms of gender, 43% of women use Instagram, while 31% of men use it. Instagram is one of the most popular social networks on a global level. The US has the most users at 116 million, followed by India at 73 million and Brazil at 72 million. This international presence also makes the network appealing to both brands and influencers alike. So again, also depicted on this slide are key demographics like the US regional breakdown of Instagram users, Instagram education demographics, and Instagram income demographics, and also the breakdown of demographics of Instagram users by age. So next we move on to Twitter. So regarding Twitter, there are a total of 330 million global monthly users. 262 million of those are outside of the US. So it's often used for breaking news from around the world. So while Twitter is great for short updates, engaging with followers, and sharing links to blog posts, it is not for every business. On Twitter, you can share short tweets, 240 characters or less, videos, images, links, polls, and more. It's also easy to interact with your audience on this platform by mentioning users in your posts, along with liking and retweeting tweets. If you're a highly visual business or you don't have a strong brand voice, you may want to skip the social media network. However, many companies do excel on Twitter, such as Wendy's, because they have a very unique on-brand voice on the platform that they then use to their advantage. Other companies use this platform to handle customer service because customers who are also active on this platform will seek out companies to express concerns or to share praise. If you have interesting content and you can voice that content in an engaging way, Twitter is a great tool for quickly spreading the word. Hashtags will help boost posts, and if a user with a lot of followers retweets you, your content could go viral. But with Twitter, it's important to find a balance. So you don't just want to share your links or your media. You want to also make sure that you're sharing a lot of interesting, relevant content from other Twitter's users. And here are the graphics related to Twitter. Again, usage of Twitter among US adults is lower compared to other networks, according to Pew's report. In the US, 22% of adults use Twitter. Twitter's format, again, is ideal for timely content, meaning the platform continues to be popular for news and customer service, as mentioned previously. So the gender breakdown for Twitter users among US adults shows that 24% of men use Twitter, while 21% of women use the platform. Within the platform on an international basis, the breakdown is 66% men and 34% women. Most Twitter users are outside the US. However, the US does have the highest number of Twitter users. So if your company is interested in investing more in Twitter to reach those audiences, you want to make sure that your Twitter marketing strategies are fully developed. So also on this slide is the breakdown again of demographics by age, the regional breakdown in the US of Twitter users, the Twitter education demographics, and the Twitter income demographics. So next we move on to YouTube. YouTube is a video sharing platform where people can view, upload, rate, share, and comment on content. So it's now owned by Google, and the site is a huge hub for news and entertainment. So many businesses on YouTube have a creative, visual, or educational component. The platform's heavily creative in nature, so it's important for you to have a dedicated video editor producing content. However, your business doesn't need a channel to market on the platform. There's a subculture of YouTube influencers who publish frequent videos and often maintain large audiences. And often businesses will partner with YouTubers for product placement because these users already have engaged audiences. So then here are the graphics related to YouTube. YouTube has a widespread use among all US adults, ranking it higher than Facebook. So in the US, 73% of adults use the video streaming platform. For those who do use the network, 38% of them reported logging in several times a day. And as video content continues to take over on social, establishing your YouTube presence is a priority, just like any other social channel. So YouTube's usage by gender leans more towards men, with 78% of men using YouTube and 68% of women using YouTube. Also on this slide, again, is the breakdown of demographics by age, the US regional breakdown of YouTube users, YouTube education demographics, and YouTube income demographics. So now we move on to LinkedIn. LinkedIn has 260 million monthly users and is the best platform for professional networking. So it's a great place to find top talent, position yourself as an industry leader, or to promote your business. So LinkedIn is designed to be more professional than other social media platforms, and it's geared towards businesses and professionals. So users create profiles that are similar to resumes, and companies can create pages that showcase their business. Because LinkedIn is a professional platform, it's the best place to post things like job openings and information about your company's culture. And you can also join things like industry-specific LinkedIn groups to ask and to answer questions, which can then help you establish brand recognition and bring users to your company page and website. So like on Twitter, it's best to have a mix of original and shared content on your page. So you want to commit to creating polished professional content related to your business. So LinkedIn demographics, favor those with professional careers. So that might be perhaps, reflecting the busy schedule of those more niche audiences. Daily usage is less frequent than Facebook and Instagram. Only 9% of US users visit LinkedIn more than once a day, and 12% visit daily, and 23% visit several times a week. So the percentage of men and women using LinkedIn is relatively similar. As a primarily professional networking social media platform, it makes sense that the platform would reflect kind of like the current workforce. So in the US, 29% of adult men and 24% of adult women use LinkedIn. By a wide margin, the US actually has the highest number of users on this platform. So with 160 million users in the US, the next closest is India at 61 million. So again, also the breakdown of demographics by age, the US regional breakdown of LinkedIn users, LinkedIn education demographics, and LinkedIn income demographics. Oops. Next, we move on to Pinterest. So this visually oriented platform allows users to save and to display content by pinning digital bulletin boards, which can be organized by category. So for example, a personal user might have a food board dedicated to pinning recipes, another board dedicated to photography, and so on, things like that. The platform also actually has a series of special types of pins called rich pins, which brands can use to add specific information to their pin, like product details or location maps. Every pin on Pinterest includes an image or a video, making it, again, a purely visual platform. So as such, Pinterest is not the place for you to share information like something like business hours. So as you're learning throughout this presentation, there are various uses and specific things that correlate better to certain platforms. And we also will discuss how you can interact between the various ones and how you can use them and bounce them off of each other. So Pinterest is great for niche businesses, but it may not be, again, for every company. Popular categories on the site are do-it-yourself projects, fashion, exercise, beauty, photography, and food. And that's not to say that businesses outside of those categories can't succeed on the platform, but it does make Pinterest like an especially good marketing tool for businesses in those areas. And again, then when we're going to transition to the statistics and demographics related to Pinterest. So there's more than 300 million people worldwide using Pinterest every month. And Pinterest marketing might be the next major strategy that you want to invest in. So it's, again, with a visual first focus, this platform is ideal for highlighting products and inspirational or aspirational content. Pinterest also has a wide international user base. So again, according to Statista, the network boasts 322 million international users and 87 million monthly active ones in the US. Also, again, on this slide is the breakdown of demographics by age, the US regional breakdown of Pinterest users, Pinterest education demographics, and Pinterest income demographics. Next, we move on to Snapchat. Snapchat is another mobile-only visual social media network, and it's known for its disappearing content. Users can send videos and photos to each other or post content to their public stories, which then disappear after 24 hours. The app has since expanded since its first inception to include chat, messaging, image storage, events, and media content. But now content posted on Snapchat can be easily saved and uploaded elsewhere. So you do want to be aware of that. And because the majority of posts are temporary, there is less pressure to create super polished content. You can also see on this platform how many and which specific users are viewing your story. And a small business will most likely utilize the platform stories feature, but keep in mind that only users who have added you can actually view your stories content. However, once you have an audience, stories will allow you to easily create story-driven and interactive content. So then here are the graphics related to Snapchat. And again, compared to other social networks that were examined, Snapchat appeals more to younger users. So towards the end of 2019, the network reported 210 million daily active users on its site. And again, according to Statista, Snapchat was found to be the most important social network for 41% of teenagers. Snapchat's usage by gender is also an even split between the genders. So it was reported that 24% of men were using Snapchat and 24% of women were using Snapchat. So like other networks, Snapchat sees global use, but it has the most users in the US at 97.55 million. So coming second is France at 20.4 million users, and then third is 18.8 million users in India. Also, again, on this slide is the breakdown of demographics by age. The US regional breakdown of Snapchat users, Snapchat education demographics, and Snapchat income demographics. And as mentioned, earlier, and again during this section, this platform is found to be the most important social network for teens. Again, one of the important stats was 73% of 18 to 24-year-olds use Snapchat. Now we move on to TikTok. So TikTok, which is a relatively new, hit platform where users create and share short videos, it can be a successful option for businesses, but only if it is used properly. So because TikTok is mostly popular with the infamously discerning Generation Z, it can be difficult to strike the right tone to be successful as a business. So if you want to create a TikTok account, you want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of your brand and how that translates to TikTok specifically. So you want to look at how other businesses are tackling it before you try it yourself. So now we're going to transition into how to use social media for business. So first, you want to start with a plan.
Hey, Elaina.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just have one question so far and wanted to take the time to stop for that one.
Sure.
The question is, what is a hashtag and how does it work?
Okay. So Cassie, I don't know if you want to jump in here since I've been talking a ton. I don't want to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So a hashtag is basically something that you can put with a post. And when someone follows those hashtags, so say maybe a popular hashtag for maybe like wedding photography would be like hashtag Ibiza weddings. Maybe someone is out there thinking about doing a wedding in Ibiza, and so they follow the hashtag Ibiza weddings. Well, every time you have that hashtag on a photo that you take, then someone can see that if they follow that hashtag. So that's just one example. And so you want to try to utilize hashtags by using ones that are specific to your business or popular that a lot of people follow, so that your pictures or your posts can show up in their feed if they follow those hashtags.
Another common example is when there's some sort of holiday or event coming up, right? Like Valentine's Day, if there's a bakery or something like that, baked treats, or a hashtag again with like Happy Valentine's Day, or again, there are so many different days, right? Like official days, like National Puppy Day, or again, national. I don't know why baked goods keep on there, probably because I have a lot of clients right now I'm working on with that business, but that pops up a lot too. So as Cassie said, you can utilize those hashtags and then they will pop up with that. Thank you, Cassie.
Good question. I'll also drop a link while we're talking about hashtags into the chat as Elaina continues.
So the next one is, again, as I said, start with a plan. So social tools can be easy to use. I know they can appear very overwhelming, but they can be easy to use, and you can get started with organic posts for free. So that might make it tempting to dive in and just start posting. But like every good business strategy, you want to use social media, for small businesses. In order for it to be successful, you want to start with an actual plan. Because without a plan, you don't really have a clear goal for what you're trying to achieve. So that means then there's no way to measure your results. So you want to take the time to create a social media plan right up front. And this ensures that all of your social efforts will then support your specific business goals. So here are some strategic social media tips. The first is setting social media goals and objectives. So create goals that follow the SMART framework. That means they should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So base your goals on metrics that will have a real impact on your business. For example, aim to acquire customers or raise your conversion rate rather than simply trying to rack up likes. The next is research the competition. So how are your competitors using social media? Well, you don't want to copy them. You can definitely learn from what the others have done. And learning from them is a great way to reduce your learning curve, right? So competitive analysis can help you learn what's working and what's not for other businesses that are similar to yours. You can conduct a social media audit. And again, if you're already using social media, now's the time to take a step back and evaluate your existing efforts. And as part of your audit, you can look for imposter accounts that may be stealing essentially your online thunder. And we'll talk a little bit more about this at the end, but that's actually a service that we provide at Temple SBDC. Cassie is one of the individuals who does the social media audits. So, if there's any additional questions related to that, I'm sure she'd be happy to talk more about it as well. But we do conduct social media audits for clients. So again, happy to talk more about that. The next is finding inspiration. So, if you've looked at what your competitors are doing online, what about other businesses, right? You can take inspiration from the success of businesses in all industries, not just yours. And if you're wondering, where can you find these success stories, you can head to the business section of most social networks and you'll be able to find useful case studies. So it's also a great idea to ask existing followers what they want to see more of, then give them exactly what they ask for. We're big fans, and I always recommend, talking to your actual customers, actual followers, seeing what they like, dislike, what is engaging to them, and then again, following through on that. Then finally, creating a social media calendar. So a social media calendar will help you post the right content to the right social channels at the right time. So it should include a plan for your content mix. So we recommend, starting with maybe the 80-20 rule. So use 80% of your content to inform, educate, or entertain your audience, and you then use the other 20% to promote your brand or to sell your products. So deciding which platforms are right for you. Again, you don't want to just make assumptions where your audience spends their time online. So your instinct might tell you that if you're targeting millennials, you should just skip Facebook and focus on Instagram and Snapchat. But as we mentioned earlier, the data shows that 84% of millennials still use Facebook. So you want to use that demographic data to help gauge where your audience spends their time online. But again, remember that these demographics are just an overview. And to make sure that you're using social media for business effectively, you'll need to conduct research on your own. And part of that, as mentioned, just before, is possibly also talking to your followers and your customers. But again, this will help you to understand how your specific audience spends their time online. And you want to also keep in mind that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing approach, right? You can use different social channels to reach different audiences or to meet different business goals. So then we segue into knowing your audience. Again, one reason using social media for business is so effective is that you can micro-target your audience. But again, first, you do need to understand who your audience is. And so again, we keep talking about this, but it's very important. You want to start by compiling data on your current customers. And then you want to dig deeper with social media analytics. As mentioned before, all of the various platforms do have that component that you can utilize and pull the stats from and pull those analytics. And then you'll need to start developing a solid picture of who's buying from and interacting with you online, which platforms and what capacity. So an example is actually something called Imperfect Foods. I don't know who may or may not have heard of them, but they actually gained important audience insights with Pinterest interest targeting. So the company sells produce boxes filled with what's considered ugly fruits and vegetables. This food is perfectly good for eating, but it doesn't meet the visual standards that's required for sale in grocery stores. So without these produce boxes, this food would have been wasted. And when they first started using the Pinterest ads, Imperfect Foods targeted obvious keywords like sustainability or healthy eating. But then they actually discovered that their target audience was also interested in finance. So I'm sure you're wondering, how did something like Imperfect Foods connect it with finance, right? So what they actually did is they used that insight to drive new creative concepts. So they started to talk about the money saving side of reducing food waste rather than only just the environmental benefits. Again, figuring out what interested their audience and then utilizing it. Next is, building relationships. So one of the unique benefits of social media marketing for small businesses is that it allows you to talk directly to customers and followers. So you can build relationships over time rather than just asking for a sale upfront. So then more than 40% of digital consumers actually use social networks to research new brands or products. So part of that discovery is getting to know who you are as a brand and what you stand for. So when people engage with your content or your ads, it's a great idea to engage back, highly encouraged to do that. This helps, again, for you to build trust and to form a loyal following. So as fans share and like your content, you rise in the social algorithms, and again, you're gaining new free exposure. You can also nurture those relationships, which can then help develop into sales over time. So one example is Aaron Barrett. So it's something called Sunwoven, and they have a dedicated fan base of 111,000 on Instagram. And the South Carolina-based Weaver is very interactive with her followers and responds to pretty much every compliment and every question. So when engaging with this maker on Instagram, it allows the people to feel like they know her and trust her before they invest in one of her pieces. And so when she launches mini pieces, again, at highly attainable price points, they sell out very quickly. Again, she has built that relationship between herself and her followers. Another example is Facebook groups, which are another great way to build community and brand loyalty. So for example, the New York Times Podcast Club Facebook group is is kind of considered a book club for podcasts. So with more than 31,000 members, the group established the New York Times as a go-to source for information beyond breaking news. It also motivates members to listen to the selected podcasts each week, which then helps to prevent listeners from dropping off. Again, maintaining those relationships and maintaining that engagement. You can also build relationships with other entrepreneurs and influencers in your niche. Something called micro-influencers, which is usually starting with around 10,000 followers, can be effective for establishing brand trust. And as a bonus, they are often well within the budget range of smaller brands. Oh, sorry. So next slide is, again, sharing compelling visuals whenever you can. So people have come to expect social posts to include a visual component, and the images shared on social, it then drives their real world actions. So more than half of millennials and Gen Z internet users said their most recent fashion buys were based on images they saw on social media. So things like Instagram, Pinterest, and Snapchat in particular, right? Since they're all visual first networks. And if your content doesn't look good, no one will essentially stop scrolling to then read what you have to say. So even tweets actually benefit from having something like a good graphic. Even Twitter itself has said, the single simplest thing that you can do to get more attention to your tweets is to add on in some sort of image. So for service businesses in particular, great imagery can be a bit of a challenge. But again, every business can tell its story in some way through photos or videos. So maybe you can showcase your company culture with images from like inside your office. Dutch Bank actually used Snapchat to showcase the experience of 2 of its interns. So this gave potential employees an inside look at what it might be like to work for the company. Another option is to use something called stock photos. There are plenty of free high quality stock photos online that you can use in your social posts. But however, you do need to make sure that you stick to using appropriately licensed stock photo photography. So that's an important caveat. Using random images that you find online can be a problem, and it can get you into serious trouble. So there are various websites, again, where they're appropriately licensed and you can use those stock images, but you do need to look at that and not just pull random pictures from online. Focusing on quality over quantity. So again, the sheer number of social media marketing options for small businesses, again, might seem overwhelming. There are a ton, huge variety, but again, you don't need to do it all. It's more important to create quality content on a couple of key channels than it is to have a presence on every single network. And as we mentioned, not every single network might be the best fit for your company or your industry, your product or your service. That's where that research component comes in as well, right? Above all, you want to be sure that your social posts offer some sort of value. So if all you do constantly is pitch and sell, then there's not much motivation for people to follow you. Again, there's that engagement component, which we're tying back to that 80-20 rule, where we talk about, using it to entertain and inform as well. Remember, again, social marketing, it's all about building those relationships, right? Establishing the relationship, establishing trust, being human, being honest, posting great content. When you build that relationship, helping your customer feel like they know you. And again, this is very important, and you can't necessarily fake it, right? According to a survey from Statla, 86% of consumers have said that authenticity will influence which brands they like and which brands they support. And again, you can't do it all, and you don't have to try, right? Reach out to your audience in the places where they're already spending time online. Again, tying back to the research component, seeing where they're interacting, where your specific customers are interacting, and meeting them there. And you can also focus on using 1 or 2 social channels really well, at least again to start. Once you've got those mastered, you can then build from what you've learned and expand your efforts. So using the right tools, right? The secret to using social media effectively is to take advantage of tools that automate or simplify much of the work. Again, it can appear to be very overwhelming, but there are ways to help mitigate that feeling and to help you with the work that goes into it, right? Again, there are many, many tools to help boost productivity. And again, that means you can start using social media for business without having a full-scale social media team. And here are some examples. For engagement management, social media, it's not just a broadcasting system. It's not a broadcasting system. It's a way to engage with customers and fans. So social media management tools like Hootsuite, it can help you centralize all mentions and messages directed at your company in one dashboard. Then you can respond and engage without having to log into each of your individual social media accounts. Analytics, as mentioned before, and as we will continue to mention, analytics, research, data, very important for you and your small business. And getting all of that information in one place can help you get a better picture of your social efforts overall. BrandWatch allows you to create in-depth reports. And again, Hootsuite Insights provides a great overview of how well you're capturing the conversation in your space. Graphics, as mentioned before, if you're having trouble creating eye-catching images for your posts, you can turn to tools that will help you get the job done. Some are listed here, like Pictochart and Canva, which are some tools that allow you to do this. They've been really great. I've had clients really boast about how well they've been able to, they've been able to use these different avenues to create graphics when before they were really at a loss to how to do that. Again, content curation. And again, it can be a struggle to come up with new content to share every day, but content curation is the art of sharing quality posts from others. Again, with credit, you want to make sure that you're crediting if you're retweeting, reposting, whatever it is, you want to share that, you do need to give them credit. But it can be a great way to provide value for your followers and to keep them engaged. So tools like BuzzSumo and Pocket, they can all help you to organize and find content to share. Monitoring and responding to all relevant social media conversations. So we've already talked about the importance of responding to people who post comments or questions on your social platforms, right? But there's more to social engagement than just that. So you need to be aware of the conversations that are happening about your business elsewhere online and respond where appropriate. And there's a term for this, and it's called social listening. Again, we also previously talked about creating a social content calendar earlier in the presentation. And once you have that calendar in place, you can create your social posts in advance and use scheduling tools to post them automatically at the right time. So again, this will allow you to dedicate essentially maybe one block of time per day or per week, again, whatever your schedule allows, however you want to organize it, to creating your social content. This makes it much more effective, right, than letting social posting take you away from other tasks throughout the day, every single day. Tracking and refining your performance. As you implement your social strategy, it's important to keep track of what works and again, what doesn't work. You can then fine-tune your efforts and improve results. The analytic tools mentioned earlier, they'll give you a great picture of your social efforts and can help you track whatever metrics matter most to you. So once you and I have an idea of how your strategy is working, then it's time to start looking for ways to improve, and you can make the small changes that boost your success over time. And again, no matter the size of your business, social tools can help you to better connect with your audience, reach new potential customers, and increase awareness of your brand, right? If the possibilities seem overwhelming, as we mentioned before, start small. And again, remember, you don't need to do it all, right? Take a focused approach. Start with 1 or 2 key networks and build your social media marketing efforts over time. So now we're going to transition into some social media FAQs. So one popular one is, which platforms should my brand be present on? Again, first things first, as we mentioned before, there's no doubt that your business should be on social media regardless of the industry. But the purpose behind having a social media presence may differ from one company to another. That's something that you want to look into and ascertain for your business. What are your goals? And as a brand, again, as mentioned earlier in the presentation, you need to know where your audience is and start from there. So conveying messages to the wrong crowd will end up in a lot of dissatisfaction for all involved parties. You won't be reaching necessarily your, the right consumer, which then potentially would not translate into, sales or engagement or anything like that. So again, the answer to this question will depend on what products or services your business offers and who your customer is. So bear in mind that, again, certain channels are more focused on B2B, which is business to business, while others might take more of a B2C approach, which is business to consumer. So the decision depends on the product or service that you're providing, as well as on your audience and where they are located. When should a business launch their social media? So for most events, you usually want to start promoting, no less than, at least 1 to 2 months in advance, but the more time, the better, right, to build that up. So 3 months even before launching is great. Also, we encourage clients to secure things like usernames as soon as possible and to check the availability of usernames before even registering their business. So the more time you are on social media, the more time you have to build a community around your brand before you launch, building fans and, again, a loyal customer base potentially early on. What to do if the username you want is taken? So you can pick up or come up with a new one or a variation. Potentially, you could reach out to the user who has it. If it's a dormant account, you can report a dormant account. You can also potentially file a complaint. But there are other ways too, right? Recommendations on this page, using business name checkers to check availability, picking the name of your business and the username at the same time to, again, ensure availability. It should be short, it should be memorable, it should be clear, it should be easy, to say out loud, right? For whoever the customer is. And you want to aim for the same username on all platforms, because, again, if someone is looking for you, a customer or a client, you want to make sure that they're able to find you. If your usernames vary differently across all the platforms, it might be hard for them to find you. What should you post and what should you say? Again, the answer to this question will largely depend on what your business makes or what it does, and what your demographic is. Each social media platform is enticing in its own way, but again, using the wrong type of content on the wrong audience, and you could potentially be labeled as unprofessional. And again, some recommendations for how to do this is, creating a persona for your business, modeling it after someone that your customer will resonate with. And again, this is tied to you knowing and understanding who your customer is, right? When you are writing your content, writing your copy, you want to get into character and write it based on those perspectives, right? Those insights. Again, looking at competitors and then posting a mix of content, photos, videos, infographics, memes, a variety. When and how often should you be posting? Again, you want to look at the analytics and insights. There are a ton of different reports related to this. Different companies, again, like Hootsuite and something called Sprout Social, and a ton of other ones, but they do compile industry reports and reports that talk about the best days and times for different industries, different types of business, and they oftentimes are free, and you can just Google them. Generally, they publish them every year, so you can look them up and see, again, when and how often and the best times to be posting. And they can be very, very specific, like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday is when you'll hit, the most engagement with followers within a specific industry. But again, you want to compile and do that research so that you know when. And again, it could be anytime, right? Before work, lunchtime, after work, before bed. It will vary. And again, how often? Ideally 1 to 4 times a day. And again, that can sound like a lot, can sound very overwhelming. That is why we also talked about the systems that can help you manage that. Doing it in advance, and then not essentially spending every single day taking time out of your day to create content or post content, but blocking it off and creating a plan and a schedule. And again, that ties into the recommendations, which is choosing a frequency that works for you. And again, the most important thing, especially when you're starting out and building up your reputation on the platforms and building up your base, it's being consistent, right? Even if you only post a few times a week, especially as you start out on social media, as long as your followers see that consistency, that is what you want to aim for. So is it okay to post the same content on each platform? The short answer technically is no, right? People follow your brand on different platforms for a variety of different reasons. So this means that you can't necessarily expect to have exactly the same audience across all of the platforms. So that being said, unifying the audience is something that you can achieve through storytelling. So for example, if you're going to be using like Snapchat and Instagram. Brands focusing on visual content, they don't necessarily have to rely on one or only one of the two platforms. So instead, they could start by posting a story, right? Something like the making of on Snapchat, and then finishing off and putting more polished photos on Instagram. Again, of the same theme, right? The theme will be the same, but they'll start with that making of the story, again, on Snapchat, and then over if the same user goes to the Instagram of that business or company, seeing those polished photos and a continuation of the story on Instagram. How do you get more followers or increase your following, right? Very popular question. You can do this, this is where the difference between quality and quantity really becomes quite obvious, right? Posting frequent updates where you're asking people to just follow you or to bring in more followers is not going to work. That's not very engaging. Buying followers also, it might sound like an enticing solution, but it's not necessarily a viable one. Paid followers aren't particularly known for engaging with content, and they're not loyal, right? They're not following you necessarily because they like your company, like your product, like your service, like your brand. But you can drive engagement by delivering high quality content to the right people at the right time. So creative and unique content will do more than just that, right? It can entice your followers to share it with their family members, their friends, their professional contacts, And again, that grows your follower base, right? And again, if this turns into a snowball that you can't stop from rolling, not that you would want it to, that means your content has gone viral. And again, and here it talks about optimizing your accounts, creating high quality content, being consistent, getting others to share it, being authentic, as we mentioned earlier in the presentation, engaging with your audience. So again, this ties back a lot of our concepts will flow throughout the presentation and answer the FAQs. So this is very important as well, right? How do you handle negative comments? Because you might get them across all the platforms. I know we mentioned earlier that Twitter is one of the ones largely used for customer service, but if a customer or client has some sort of complaint or wants to post a negative comment, they'll find you on any channel. And there are technically two main options to handle negative comments as listed here. One of them being ignoring, deleting, or blocking or filtering. We recommend that you address them. You can reply back with something like an apology, right? And ask them to DM you or to contact you at your customer service email, right? And you want to add something that is like, so that you can address their concerns, right? Or say something like, so we can look into this further for you. You want to let them know that you are taking the time to look into this issue, right? You want to address it for them, right? Within your reply too, you should provide the customer service email or number, however you want them to contact you. You don't want to make them have to search for it, especially if they're already posting something because they're upset, right? With a negative comment, you want to make it as easily as possible for them to essentially reach you, contact you, right? To fix whatever this is. And you want to show them that you're making that effort, right? You want to show them that you want to address this issue. You want to fix this for them, right? And again, you can apologize and let them know, instead of if you don't necessarily want to put the customer service email in there right then, you can again apologize and let them know in a comment, hey, I've DM'd you. So again, I've DM'd you so that we can discuss this further, or so that I've DM'd you so that we can address this matter, or we can look into this matter further for you. You do want to try and take it off of the comments of the post, and again, because again, depending on what the issue is, going back and forth on that, it might be really time consuming, it might be longer, and it doesn't need to be on a public forum. So you do want to try and put it into DMs, or again, have them reach out to you via customer, an email or phone number or something like that. But again, you want to do this to regain the trust and engage with your customers. Because again, if you go on these different platforms and you see the comments, a lot of times if a company or a business has addressed it in a timely way, right? Again, you don't want to take too long to answer. People will then praise the business, right, on those platforms, thinking like, oh, I had this issue, thank you so much. I've seen where someone has complained on a platform and people immediately jump to that business's defense by saying, oh, they're great with customer service, I'm sure they'll fix this for you. That's the kind of reputation you want to have. And again, you can then utilize the negative comments as feedback for your business, product, or service, right? Take that feedback and use it to better, your business, right? Implement it. So next steps. These, this is our general overview of different things that Temple SBDC offers related to our training programs. We have a ton of webinars, including ones like this. We have a ton of resources that we can provide to you. We've got one-on-one consulting. We can assist you with capital access assistance. And we have different clinics like our legal clinic. And this QR code right here, actually, if you scan it, it will take you to all of our upcoming events that you can register for. We also have a Google Resources doc that has any webinar essentially that we have recorded. It will have direct links to our YouTube channel, which also have all of them on there. We also have our Digital Transformation Center of Excellence. So that's a little bit about what we were talking about before. What I mentioned, what Cassie mentioned, including things like our PadTech program, which will handle things if you want an SEO audit, as Cassie mentioned, search engine optimization audit. If you have a website, that's something we can actually do for you. And all of the audits will have a report section and then a recommendation section. And our consultants who actually do those reports will meet with you to review it, answer any questions that you have after it's been conducted. We also have website audits, which are a little bit more of a holistic overview. The other one focuses specifically on SEO. And then, as mentioned, we have a social media audit. We do mainly focus on the main 5. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. But we do have some resources related to some of the other platforms that we went over in this presentation. We also have something called our Digital Connect program, which helps with website creation or website alterations. So a lot of times if you have those audits be conducted with the recommendations and you're not sure how to implement the fixes or the recommendations, we can also help you with that through the Digital Connect program. Or if you don't have a website, but you're looking to build one, again, that is a program that we have that can assist you with that. And again, consulting and working with remote work, scheduling systems, adding e-commerce into your website, all of that falls under our PadTech program, as well as Digital Connect and some of our other services, which is, again, the normal ones like business plan creation, business plan writing, things like that.
Oh, and Elaina, just real quick, I'm going to put in the chat, there's a link if you want to sign up for getting a social media audit done on the social media accounts that you have, or you want to get a website audit done on your website, or an SEO audit done. We can do that. And that's the last link. I believe there's already a link just above that for doing a survey. But yes, the very last one is the one where you can sign up for those social media audits or any of the other audits we just mentioned. So you're welcome to copy and paste that or click on it now so that you can just have it saved in your browser. I just put that there. And then there were just a couple question, but I'll save that for the Q&A. Someone had a question, but I'll leave that for the Q&A.
Which is essentially now, Cassie. So
voila.
Sorry about that.
The question we had is, Rich asked, what is the best platform for engaging government clients?
So that one can be a little bit particular. You're going to want to do some additional research. That will be a little bit more, depending on what the product is, what specific industry is. That's going to require a little bit more nuanced research. One thing that you could definitely look at is LinkedIn as a more professional network to see, again, groups for that industry and things related to that. I would recommend starting there. And again, since that would be a little bit more nuanced research, happy to do some one-on-one consulting to look into that and create more of a game plan related to that and a strategy for that.
And also something that I always think is helpful is looking at your competitors and, maybe even some of those competitors that are even like bigger than you and see where are they? That can be a clue of maybe where you should also be. So that's also a good clue on choosing platforms.
Okay, before we wrap it up, I just want to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for keeping it a day with us. And just as Kirsty rightly said a few minutes ago, I did post a 30-second survey about today's webinar. Remember, we at Temple SBDC, we always cherish your feedbacks, even as it helps us to improve on the services we provide to you guys at a no cost. So kindly take out a 30-second and help us to fill out the survey link I posted. Elaina, I don't know if we have any question on board, or Cassie. If we don't, we are this is 1 o'clock and we are supposed to like wrap it up at 1. But if we have any question at hand, we can as well.
And also feel free to reach out to us, via, for one-on-one consulting. I'm happy, since, as Garba said, we're kind of wrapping up now, happy to answer any questions, via email. You want to schedule a quick call, you want to, do a Zoom, we're happy to do that as well.
And just real quick, I'm going to make sure to post the link one more time because it seemed like a couple people were not able to see it. So give me just a moment before we log off to post that once more, as I think maybe people were not seeing it. Also, that link is for the SEO audit, social media audit, and the website audit. So it does go to an area where you can select any of those audits.
As well as digital, marketing, consulting in general. When you sign up through that link, essentially you'll do an intake call and we will kind of ascertain what services you're looking for and how we can help you.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. In the absence of any other thing, I think we just cut it off for the day. Thank you guys, and do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.